Victor Puskas Sr. had a long and distinguished law enforcement career. But what this former police chief will be remembered for most by his friends and family is his gentle love, his sense of humor, and his total inability to keep a secret. His son, Victor Jr., remembers.
You never wanted to tell my dad anything if you really wanted it to stay a secret. For an example, when I decided to get married, I told my dad that I wanted my brother Lou to be my best man. I said, but don't tell him just yet because I want to tell him first. So we went to my brother Lou's house, and the first words out of his mouth were, Louie, guess what? Vic's getting married and he wants you to be the best man.
It was so impossible for Victor Sr. to keep a secret that even 2 months after his death, he would return from the grave with a special message for his daughter-in-law, Beth.
My dad took to my wife right off, and they ended up becoming pretty good buddies. They would joke around, they would play with each other. It was sort of cute. It was almost as if he was her father and she was his daughter.
He'd love to sit around and tell stories. He loved having all of the kids there and being with all of his grandkids and playing with them.
He was the kind of guy who would get down on the floor with the kids and roll around with them and laugh and tickle and play. And I always wanted my children to be a part of that too. I always wanted them to be able to be the ones who messed up his hair and pulled on his ears and things like that.
Sadly, that was not meant to be. Victor Jr. and his wife Beth had delayed having a child until he completed law school, and in August of 1993, Victor Sr. was diagnosed with terminal cancer, a devastating blow for his wife, Barb.
It was day-by-day stripping away of the man that we knew and loved. He had a wonderful acceptance of something he couldn't change.
I told my dad that he had to hang around until I graduated from law school. The oncology nurse told me that throughout his treatment, the one thing that kept him going was the thought of being around for my graduation. And it was about 2 weeks after I graduated that my dad died. And I'm convinced that I won't fully appreciate how much love that took for a number of years. But that's the kind of guy he was.
In June of 1994, Victor Sr. lost his battle with lung cancer.
You walked in the house and just felt different. I would expect to hear his voice come booming around the corner, or, saying, "How are you, Bethy?" or something like that. So it's all very difficult.
One night, 2 months after his death, the beginning of a series of strange and ominous events took place.
It started with a dream I had about getting stung by a bee. That wouldn't probably bother most people except for my family. He has a history of having a reaction to bee stings.
The next day, while Beth was visiting her father and brother-in-law, the dream she'd had the night before became a reality.
Ow! I think I got stung.
It's the first time I'd ever been stung before, so I was somewhat panicked because I wasn't sure what kind of a reaction I was going to have. It turned out I was okay. I did have a slight reaction, but the most incredible thing was I had to dream about it the night before.
Ow!
And then it happened the next day.
Ow!
For Beth, it was a message that dreams can come true, and so she began paying closer attention to them. One dream in particular stuck in her mind.
One night I had a dream that I got to see my father-in-law. He was sitting on a concrete bench and he was playing with a little girl. And I was just kind of kneeling, watching the whole thing. I was so happy just to be able to see him again, and so happy that he was healthy and that Barb got to spend a little bit of time with him. The little girl had long dark hair with bangs and just the cutest smile. And I was wondering, who is this little girl?
But before Beth could get a closer look at the child, her dream suddenly ended. And just as suddenly, the questions began.
Hey, honey.
Was the dream another omen like the bee sting? Was her father-in-law trying to send her a message? And would something in this dream come true the next day? That afternoon, Beth and Victor paid a visit to his mother. But before Beth could tell her about her mysterious dream, Barbara had a surprise of her own. She had also had a dream about Victor Sr., one that would shock both Beth and Vic Jr.
Had this dream, and in my dream, Beth and I went together. That was how it all started. He was playing with this child. The child was sitting on his lap, and he was bouncing her on his knee, and he was laughing. They were both laughing. They were just having the best time. And I said to Beth, "Who's that child? I've never seen that child before."
Immediately, the hair stood up on the back of my neck. It just shocked me. The dream itself wasn't as remarkable as the fact that they both had the same dream on the same night.
And yet, both dreams contained such specific similarities that it was impossible to write this off as a coincidence. In each dream, the same 4 people were present. In each dream, Victor Sr. was playing with a little girl with dark hair, laughing and bouncing her on his knee. And in each dream, Beth was held back, unable to recognize or reach the child. A few weeks later, on her birthday, Beth discovered the possible meaning of these 2 remarkable dreams.
I was pretty sure I was pregnant, and when I went to the doctor and had the test and it turned out positive, we were very excited.
Oh, I'm so happy. I know.
The first thing I felt was elation, but it was also followed up by conviction that she was pregnant with a little girl, that all of this could not have been just coincidence.
On May 31st, 1995, Beth gave birth to a beautiful baby girl with dark, straight hair and a familiar smile.
And when Michaela was born and I took one look at her in the hospital, I said, "This is the one I dreamed about." And it was. And when she laughs and throws her head back, yes, that is the child. There's no question in my mind.
It was like a miracle. I mean, all births of children, I believe, are miracles. But this was even more special because we were shown this little girl by Vic's dad. We got to see her playing with him.
Did Victor Sr. send a message from beyond the grave? And was it somehow connected to Beth's first dream?
To me, the first dream about the bee sting was God's way of saying, pay attention. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to give you a gift that you need to take note of.
The significance for me of the dreams was that any sadness I may have possessed about my dad never having been able to play with my children passed away. My dad has already played with my daughter before I even got a chance to see her in real life. I believe in guardian angels. I believe that people who die watch over the people they love. And I'd like to think that this dream has changed me to make me realize for absolute certain that my dad's still with us.
And still unable to keep a secret.
He never could keep a secret, and he still can't keep one. He still has to tell everybody ahead of time that there's going to be another baby, and that would be his joke on us. I know something you don't know.